Week 11, March 12th through the 18th. How we speak matters. But in your hearts, revere Christ as Lord. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have. But do this with gentleness and respect. 1 Peter 3, verse 15. Prior to my conversion, I was often accused of using honesty like a blunt instrument. And frankly, I took no offense with the accusation. My philosophy was, if I'm speaking the truth and I'm being honest about the situation and my intentions, then that's all that matters. And if you have an issue with how I said that truth, that's not my problem. You need to toughen up, Buttercup. I was definitely no disciple of Dale Carnegie, caring far more about being right than in ever winning friends and influencing people. Of course, that philosophy changed once Christ's Spirit came to live within me. Now, I am convinced that how we say something is just as important as what we say. Or at least it is if we actually want the other person to be receptive to our message. As the Apostle Peter states above, when we speak, our words must be delivered with gentleness and respect. If the manner in which we communicate is off-putting or insulting, then it won't matter one bit how much truth and wisdom is in the message. More than likely, the other person won't receive it at all. Our words will be nothing more than incomprehensible noise, like Charlie Brown's teacher. Therefore, these days, my philosophy on speaking is grounded in this question. Is what I'm about to say true, kind, helpful, and even necessary? If not, then I do my best not to speak at all. I have discovered that I have far fewer regrets in life by simply keeping my trap shut. The importance of speaking with kindness is perhaps most evident when dealing with our own family members, especially our spouse or children. Once a discussion gets heated, once tempers have flared and angry words are being shouted back and forth, then at that point real communication has ceased. Neither party is truly listening to the other. One member is doing nothing but throwing verbal bombs, and the other person has either completely shut down and tuned out or is simply attacking back. Well, if this truth with regard to how we speak is applicable to our interpersonal relationships, then it's certainly applicable to how we deliver the gospel message and other biblical doctrine. When sharing our testimony or the good news of Jesus with others, we must do so with gentleness and respect. We must not speak down to them with a condescending, arrogant, or rude attitude. This requires that the motives of our hearts be in the right place. If the reason that I'm speaking about the Bible with someone is simply because I want to win an argument and not because I'm actually interested in winning souls for Christ and expanding His kingdom, then I'm quite confident that person will detect that. Now, God is God. He is all-powerful and therefore can save anyone He wants, however He wants, even through a poorly delivered gospel message. That being said, I think that He would prefer that our motivations are based on love, both love for Him and for the other person. This may be why in the verse above, before Peter gave us a command on speaking, he commanded us to first have reverence for Jesus in our hearts, for our attitude does matter. Now please don't misunderstand. I am in no way saying that how we speak is more important than the actual content of our message. We should never water down the gospel or equivocate on biblical doctrine in order to make our message more palatable. A work colleague once said, "Truth not spoken in love is just cruel." I told her that I agreed, but I also said that even so, truth not spoken in love is still truth. But the same cannot be said for the reverse. A quote-unquote loving message not married to the truth is not actually loving at all. It's destructive, it's deceiving, and it leads to chaos and death. One of the most obvious examples is Satan's lie to Eve in the Garden of Eden. This is pure speculation on my part, but Eve must have thought, "Wow, what a nice serpent. He obviously cares about me because he wants me to be like God. I think that I'll trust him." Well, we know how that turned out. Adam and Eve's disobedience brought about devastating consequences that have been felt throughout human history. So it's not an either-or scenario. We don't have to choose one option over the other. Not only are we to always speak the truth, but our conversations must always be, quote, full of grace and seasoned with salt. Colossians 4:6. So, as Christians, while we certainly need to be sensitive with regard to how we speak so as not to give offense when sharing the gospel, not giving offense must not be our primary concern. And the reason is because the Bible is clear that the truths found within it are indeed offensive. The Apostle Paul wrote, "For the word of the cross is folly to those who are perishing, but to us who are being saved it is the power of God." 1 Corinthians 1:18. He also wrote, "But if I, brothers, still preach circumcision, why am I still being persecuted? In that case, the offense of the cross has been removed." Galatians 5:11. People by nature find the gospel message both foolish and offensive. Therefore, in reality, when sharing doctrinal truths with non-believers, it doesn't matter how gentle and respectful we are. Most of them will end up being offended anyway. There's simply no avoiding that. But I should do my best to make sure that the reason they rejected the message is because of the content of the message itself and not because of my delivery. Ultimately, though, we must simply trust that God is in charge. His plans can't be thwarted, and if He wants to save and adopt someone into His family, it will happen. That takes the weight of responsibility off of us and frees us to simply share the good news of Jesus with as many people as possible, as often as possible. We only spread the seeds. God is the one who makes them take root and causes them to grow. Gracious Father, because of my personality, how I speak is an area where I definitely need your assistance. I confess that I am highly opinionated and am often dogmatic about those opinions. I unfortunately still find in myself a greater desire for winning arguments than in simply being kind. Therefore, it is so very easy for me to communicate in a curt, snarky, or combative manner, whether it's in person, via email or text, or online, especially online. I ask that you please, by the power of your Spirit, sanctify me in this area. I truly want to be a 1 Thessalonians 2:12 type of man, someone who encourages, comforts, and urges others to live lives worthy of your calling. Please help me to build others up instead of tearing them down. And may I do this for your glory and their good.